Dear students, welcome to my channel. Today, through this video, let us discuss a very important topic, that is exempted income, or the income which are non-taxable while computing the total income. These are incomes which do not form part of the total income. About 100 items that we are going to deal now, which do not form part of the total income. Section 10, the details regarding exempted income. There are fully exempted items, there are partially exempted income, and there are income which are exempted to the certain extent. And also there are income which are included in total income, but no income tax is payable on that income, which is dealt under section 86. Similarly, income of the political parties also dealt here, that is according to section 13A. So let us discuss each one of these in detail, which covering under the section 10 and its variants. First exempted income is agricultural income. Any rent or revenue received from land which is situated in India and used for agriculture purpose. An agricultural income shall be exempted according to section 10 subsection 1. For more details, please refer the income tax video which we have published in number tax video 6 and 7 for more details. The next is sums received from Hindu undivided family. According to section 10 subsection 2, any amount received by an individual as a member of the Hindu undivided family out of income of the family is exempt from tax. However, the whole income derived from the converted property shall be included in the income of the member who has transferred his individual asset to the family asset. The income derived out of that shall be taxable. Then the next one is share of income of a partner from the partnership firm. As per section 10(2)(a), a partner of a firm will exempt from tax on his share of income in the firm, which shall be computed by dividing the taxable profits of the firm in the same proportion as the profit sharing ratio mentioned in the partnership deed. Here the reason is that this income is already taxed from the hands of the firm. So the share of profit received by the partner from the partnership firm shall be exempted. Interest received by non-resident according to section 10 subsection 4. In the case of non-resident, any income from interest on such securities or bonds as the central government may specify in this behalf on or before 1st June 2002, including any income by way of premium on the redemption of such bonds shall be exempted. The next is interest received on deposits standing in a non-resident external account to the credit of an individual resident outside India or who is permitted by the Reserve Bank of India to maintain such account in any bank in India in accordance with the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999 is exempt from tax. The next is interest income of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is a non-resident according to section 10(4)(b). The income of such individual from interest on saving certificates issued before 1st June 2002 by the central government, as are notified in the official gazette, is exempt from tax. Example, National Saving Certificate 6 and 7 issues have been notified for this purpose. This exemption will be available only if the individual has subscribed to such a certificate in convertible foreign exchange remitted from a foreign country. It is important to note that the exemption will be available only to the original subscribers of saving certificates. It is important to note that the exemption will be available only to the original subscribers of the saving certificates. The next is leave travel concession. Section 10(5). Any amount given or reimbursed by the employer to the employee in connection with the travel shall be exempted according to section 10(5). For more details, please watch income tax video number 20. The next is receipts in the case of an individual who is not a citizen of India, section 10(6). According to this section, any remuneration received as an official of various offices, or remuneration received as a trade commissioner or other official representative, or remuneration received as an employee of a foreign enterprise, or remuneration received for employment on a foreign ship. This exemption under section 10(6) is available only to an individual who is not a citizen of India. The next is tax paid by government or an Indian concern. According to section 10(6)(a), the amount of tax paid by government or an Indian concern on behalf of foreign company in respect of royalty or fees paid for technical service provided by the foreign company in pursuance of an agreement which relates to matters included in the industrial policy of Government of India, and such agreement is in accordance with that policy, the tax so paid will not be included while computing the total income of that foreign company. The next is the tax paid by the government or an Indian concern according to section 10(6)(b). The amount of tax paid by government or an Indian concern on behalf of a non-resident or a foreign company in respect of its income from government or an Indian concern will not be included in computing the total income of such non-resident or foreign company. The exemption will be available only if where such income is arising in pursuance of an agreement entered between the central government and the government of the foreign state or an international organization before 1st June 2002, and the tax is paid under the terms of that agreement or any related agreement which has been approved by the central government before 1st June 2002. The next point is tax paid by an Indian company on behalf of a foreign state or a foreign enterprise, section 10(6)(bb). Tax paid by an Indian company on behalf of a foreign state or foreign enterprise regarding income from leasing an aircraft or an aircraft engine shall be exempt, provided the agreement is ended after 31st March 1997 but before 1st April 1999, or after 31st March 2007 and approved by the central government. The next point is income of a foreign company by way of royalty or fee for technical service, section 10(6)(c). The income of a foreign company by way of royalty or fees for technical services received in pursuance of an agreement entered into with the central government for providing services in India or outside India in project connected with the security of India is exempt from tax. The next is allowance or perquisites outside India. Section 10(7). Allowances are any other benefits given along with the salary in the form of monetary is called allowances, and perquisites are non-monetary benefits. These things are extensively discussed in video number 15 to 24. Please refer video number 15 to 24 in this regard. The next point is income of a foreign government employee under Cooperative Technical Assistance Program according to section 10(8). In the case of an individual who is assigned to duties in India under a Cooperative Technical Assistance Program in accordance with the agreement entered into by the central government and the government of a foreign state, any remuneration received by him from the government of that foreign state for such duties and any other income of such individual which accrues or arises outside India in respect of which such individual is required to pay any income tax to the government of that foreign state shall be exempt from tax. The next is exemption of income of a consultant according to section 10(8)(a). Any remuneration or fees received by a consultant directly or indirectly out of the funds made available to an international agency and the government of a foreign state shall be exempted, provided that such a person is engaged by the agency for rendering technical services in India in accordance with an agreement entered into by the central government and the said agency. Then the consultation fee received or remuneration received shall be exempted according to section 10(8)(a). The next is exemption of remuneration of employee of the consultant according to section 10(8)(b). The remuneration received by an employee of the consultant mentioned in section 10(8)(a) shall be exempted, provided such employee is either not a citizen of India or being a citizen of India is not ordinarily resident in India. The contract of service is approved by the prescribed authority before the commencement of the service. Then he will be getting the exemption to that income which is arised as the employee for that consultation according to section 10(8)(b). Next is income of any member of the family of an employee serving under Cooperative Technical Assistance Scheme under section 10(9). The income of any member of the family of any such individual as referred to in clause 8 or 8(a) accompanying him to India which accrues or arise outside India and is not deemed to accrue or arise in India and in respect of which such member is required to pay income tax to the government of the foreign state, then it will be exempted. Next is death cum retirement gratuity. According to section 10(10), it shall be exempted, but there are certain conditions. Please refer income tax video number 25 in this regard. Similarly, commutation of pension according to section 10(10)(a) shall be exempted under certain condition. Please refer income tax video number 26. Then leave salary or leave encashment according to section 10(10)(aa), the same is explained in income tax video number 27. Then compensation received shall be exempted according to section 1010B deals with retrenchment compensation. Any compensation received by a workman under the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 at the time of retrenchment is exempt from tax to the extent of the least of the following amount. Point 1 is an amount calculated in accordance with section 25FB of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 or amount notified by the central government, that is rupees 5 lakh, or actual amount of compensation received. The limit given under section 1010B shall not apply in cases where the compensation is received under any scheme approved by the central government in view of the need of providing special protection to the workman of the undertaking. Payment under Bhopal Gas Leak Disaster Act 1985 according to section 1010BB. Such payments received by a person will be exempted from tax, but any payment in this connection for which deductions has already been allowed will not be exempted. Next is any compensation received on disaster according to section 1010BC. Any amount received or receivable from the central government or a state government or a local authority by an individual or his legal heir by way of compensation on account of any disaster shall be exempted. The next is a receipt of employees of public sector companies or local authority, etc. according to section 1010C. Any payment received or receivable by an employee of a public sector company or any other company or a statutory authority or a local authority or a cooperative society or a university or an Indian Institute of Technology or any state government or the central government or an institution having importance throughout India or in any state or states, or the central government may notify in this behalf, or any notified institute of management on voluntary retirement or termination of service in accordance with such a scheme of voluntary retirement. B. In case of public sector company, a scheme of voluntary separation shall be exempted up to a specified limit. The next is tax paid by employer on the value of the perquisites. According to section 1010CC, if the employer pays tax on perquisites, that shall not be included in the income of the employee, so it will be exempted one as per section 1010CC. Then life insurance money received. According to section 1010D, any sum received under a life insurance policy, including bonus, shall be exempt. However, the amount shall not be exempt in the following cases. If an individual or a Hindu undivided family deposits money with the Life Insurance Corporation of India or the Unit Trust of India for maintenance of his handicapped dependent, and he gets deduction under section 80DD, and thereafter the handicapped dependent dies before the individual or the member of the Hindu undivided family, the amount so received by the assessee from the Life Insurance Corporation or the Unit Trust of India shall not be exempted, and the amount received under Cayman insurance policy. Then any sum received under an insurance policy issued after 31st March 2003 but before 1st April 2012, in respect of which the premium payable for any of the years during the term of the policy exceeded 20% of the actual capital sum assured. Next point, any sum received under an insurance policy issued after 31st March 2012, in respect of which the premium payable for any of the year during the term of the policy exceed 10% of the actual capital sum assured. Any sum received under an insurance policy issued after 31st March 2013, in respect of which the premium payable for any of the year during the term of the policy exceed 15% of the capital sum assured, if the policy is for the insurance on life of any person who is a person with a disability or a person with a severe disability or suffering from disease or ailment as specified under section 80 DDB. The next is payment from statutory provident fund according to section 1011. In this regard, please refer income tax video number 24, in which it was extensively discussed. The next is any payment from Sukanya Samriddhi account received as per section 1011A shall be exempted. And the next is payment from recognized provident fund according to section 10 subsection 12, that shall be exempted with certain condition, for which please refer the video number 24, income tax number 24. The next one is payment from National Pension System Trust according to section 1012A. Any payment from the National Pension System Trust to an assessee on closure of account or his opting out of the pension scheme up to 60% of the total amount payable to him shall be exempted. Next is partial withdrawal from National Pension System Trust. According to section 1012B, partial withdrawal by an employee from National Pension System Trust in accordance with the terms and conditions specified under Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority Act 2013 and regulations made thereafter, up to 25% of the amount of contributions made by him shall be exempted. The next is payment from approved superannuation fund. According to section 1013, the amount received from superannuation fund shall be exempted. And the next one is house rent allowances. This is partially exempted item or exempted under certain conditions. For details, please refer income tax video number 18. Next is special allowances for meeting certain expenses. According to section 1014, special allowances shall be exempted. For more details, please refer income tax video number 15. Interest etc. of different types. According to section 1015, interest etc. of different types. According to section 1015, the following interest etc. are fully exempted from tax. Point 1 is interest and premium on redemption of notified securities, bonds or securities or certificates. Then in the case of individual or Hindu undivided family, the interest on 7% capital investment bonds notified in the official gazette by the central government before 1st June 2002, and the case 3, interest on such bonds which are notified before 1st June 2002 and arising to a non-resident Indian being an individual owning the bonds, example non-resident Indian bonds 1988 issued by the State Bank of India, or any individual owning the bonds by virtue of a nominee or supervisor of the non-resident Indian, or any individual to whom the bonds are gifted by the non-resident Indian. Next is interest payable to any foreign bank performing central banking functions in that country or any deposit made by it with any scheduled bank. Interest payable to Nordic Investment Bank on loan advanced by it to a project approved by the central government in terms of the Memorandum of Understanding entered into by the central government with that bank on 25th November 1986. Then interest payable to the European Investment Bank on a loan granted by it is in pursuance of the framework agreement for financial cooperation entered into or on 25th November 1993 by the central government with that bank, or any interest payable by the government or local authority or money borrowed by it before 1st June 2001 from the source outside India by an industrial undertaking in India on money borrowed by it under an agreement entered into before 1st June 2001 from a financial institution in a foreign country. Interest on securities held by the Welfare Commissioner Bhopal Gas Victims Bhopal in the Reserve Bank of India. Interest on deposit with the Reserve Bank of India or with a notified public sector bank held for the benefit of the victims of Bhopal gas leak disaster, or interest on gold deposit bonds issued under the Gold Deposit Scheme 1999 or deposit certificates issued under the Gold Monetization Scheme 2015 notified by the central government, or interest on bonds issued by a local authority or by a state pooled finance entity and specified by the central government by notification, or any interest received by a non-resident or not ordinarily resident in India on deposit made after 31st May 2005 as an offshore banking unit. Next is payment by an Indian company according to section 1015A. Any payment made by an Indian company engaged in the business of operation of aircraft to acquire an aircraft or an aircraft engine on lease from a foreign government or a foreign enterprise which is non-resident under an agreement entered before 1st April 1997 or on or after 1st April 1999 but before 1st April 2007 and approved by the central government in this behalf is fully exempt. However, payments made for providing spares, facilities or services in connection with the operation of leased aircraft shall not be exempted. The next point is educational scholarship. According to section 1016, scholarship granted to meet the cost of education whether by government or any other organization are fully exempted. Next is the allowances of MPs or MLAs or MLCs. According to section 1017, daily allowances received by the MPs, MLAs, etc. shall be fully exempted. Any other allowances received by any member of the parliament, entire amount is exempted, and any constituency allowance received by a member of any state legislature under any act or rules made by that state legislature shall be exempted. And the next point says awards or any payment made whether in cash or in kind according to section 1017A as an award instituted by the public interest by the central government or any state government or by any other body and approved by the central government in this regard shall be exempted. As a reward by the central government or any state government for such a purpose as may be approved by the central government in the public interest is fully exempted. The next is pension of gallantry awardee. According to section 1018, the pension received by gallantry awardee shall be exempted. Family pension received by the widow or children or nominated heirs of a member of the armed forces, including paramilitary forces of the Union, where the death of such member has occurred in the course of operational duties shall be exempt, provided the prescribed conditions are satisfied. Next is annual value of one palace of rulers of Indian states. The annual value of one palace in the occupation of the ruler of an Indian state is fully exempt according to section 1019A. If a portion of the palace is let out on rent, he would be entitled to claim exemption for the entire palace. The next is income of a local authority. According to section 1020, income of a local authority which is chargeable under the head income from house property or a capital gain, or income from other sources, or income from business carried on by it, which accrues or arises from the supply of commodities or service not being water or electricity supply within its own jurisdiction, or from the supply of water or electricity within or outside the jurisdiction, is fully exempted. Next is income of research association. According to section 1021, any income of a research association approved under section 35(1) clause 2 or 35(1) clause 3 is fully exempted if they satisfy the conditions. Next is the income of news agency. According to section 1022B, the income of a notified news agency set up in India solely for collection and distribution of news shall be exempt if the following conditions are satisfied. Condition 1, the news agency applies its income or accumulates it for application solely for the collection and distribution of news. It does not distribute its income in any manner to its members. Next is income of the professional institutes. As per section 1023A, any income other than income from house property or income received for rendering any specific service or income by way of interest or dividends derived from its investment of an association or institution established in India with the object of control, supervision, regulation, or encouragement of the profession of law, medicine, accountancy, engineering, architecture, or such other profession as the central government may notify from time to time in the official gazette. The income is exempt only when the following conditions are satisfied. Condition 1, the association or institution applies its income or accumulates it for application solely for the object, and the association or institution is approved for the purpose of this clause by the central government. Next is income of regimental fund or non-public fund. According to section 1023AA, the income derived by any regimental fund or non-public fund established by the armed forces of the Union for the welfare of their past and present members and their dependents is fully exempt. Similarly, income of a fund for the welfare of the employees or their dependents as per section 1023 AAA, income of a notified fund established for the welfare of the employees or their dependents, if such employees are also members of this fund, shall be exempt if the following conditions are satisfied. Point 1, the fund applies its income or accumulate it for application wholly and exclusively for the object for which it is established. The fund invests its fund and contributions and other sums received by it as provided in section 11(5). Third, the fund is approved by the commissioner. Such approval cannot be given at one time for more than 3 assessment years. Next is income of pension fund set up by Life Insurance Corporation of India or other insurer. Section 1023 AAB, any income of a fund set up by the Life Insurance Corporation of India on or after 1st August 1996 under a pension scheme or any other insurer under a pension scheme to which contribution is made by any person for receiving pension from such fund and which is approved by the controller of insurance, the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, would be exempt from income tax. The next is income of Khadi and village industries, section 1023B. The income of an institution established as a trust or society for the purpose of development of Khadi and village industry, not for profit, from the production, sale and marketing of Khadi and village products is fully exempt. The exemption will not be allowed unless the institution applies its income or accumulates it for use solely for the development of Khadi and village industries. Further, such institutions will be eligible for this exemption only if they are approved for the purpose of this clause by the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. The Commission will have power to accord approval to such institution for a period of 3 assessment year at a time. The next one is income of Khadi and Village Industries Board, section 1023 BB. The income of Khadi and Village Industries Board established in a state by or under a state or provincial act for the development of Khadi or village industries in the state is fully exempt. The next point is income of a statutory authority for the administration of public, religious or charitable trust. Section 1023 BBA deals with it. The income of any body or authority established under any act for the administration of any public, religious or charitable trusts or endowments, including mud, temples, gurudwaras, waqf, church or other places of public religious ownership or societies for religious or charitable purpose is fully exempt. It is very clear in this provision that the exemption will not apply to the income of any such a trust, endowment or society. The next is income of European Economic Community. According to section 1023 BBB, any income of European Economic Community derived in India by way of interest, dividends or capital gain from investments made out of its fund under a notified scheme shall be exempted. Next is income of SAARC fund. Section 1023 BBC. Any income of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation Fund for regional projects set up by the Colombo Plan Declaration shall be exempted. Similarly, any income of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority shall be exempted according to section 1023 BBE. Any income of the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission shall be exempted according to section 1023 BBG. Then any income of the Prasar Bharati Broadcasting Corporation of India shall be exempted according to section 1023 BBH. Then any income of specified charitable trust according to section 1023C, the following funds or trust is fully exempted. Point 1 is the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. The Prime Minister's fund for promotion of folk art. Then the Prime Minister's aid to student fund, the National Foundation for Communal Harmony, then the Swachh Bharat course set up by the central government, then the Clean Ganga fund set up by the central government, the Chief Minister's Relief Fund or the Lieutenant Governor's Relief Fund, any university or other educational institution existing solely for educational purpose and not for the purpose of profit, then any hospital or other institution for the reception and treatment of persons suffering from illness or mental defectiveness, or for the reception and treatment of persons requiring medical attention or rehabilitation existing solely for philanthropic purposes and not for the purpose of profit. Any other fund or institution established for charitable purpose and which is approved by the commissioner, exemption. Then any trust or institution established wholly for public religious purpose or public religious and charitable purpose which is approved by the commissioner, exemptions. Income of mutual fund according to section 1023D, any income of a notified mutual fund set up by a public sector bank or a public financial institution or authorized by the Securities Exchange Board of India or the Reserve Bank of India is fully exempted. Then any income of a securitization trust from the activity of securitization shall be exempted. The next is income of the Investor Protection Fund. According to section 1023EA, the following income of such fund set up by the recognized stock exchange in India, either jointly or separately, shall be exempted. The income by way of contributions received from recognized stock exchange and the members thereof, where, however, any amount standing to the credit of the fund and not charged to income tax during any previous year is shared either wholly or in part with a recognized stock exchange. The whole of the amount so shared shall be deemed to be the income of the previous year in which such amount is so shared and shall accordingly be chargeable to income tax. Income of Investor Protection Fund, section 1023 EC. Any income by way of contributions received from commodity exchange and the members thereof of such investor protection fund set up by the commodity exchanges in India, either jointly or separately, as the central government may notify, shall be exempt. The next is any income by way of contributions received from a depository of such investor protection fund set up by the depository shall be exempted according to section 1023 ED. The next is income of a venture capital fund or a venture capital company according to section 1023 FA shall be exempted. The next is income of a business trust, section 1023 FC. Income of business trust by way of interest received or receivable from a special purpose vehicle, dividend from a specified company under section 115(07) shall be exempted. Next is income of a unit holder. Any distributed income received by a unit holder from the business trust shall be exempted according to section 1023 FD. The next is income of registered trade unions, section 1024. Any income chargeable under the head income from house property or income from other sources of a registered trade union formed primarily for the purpose of regulating the relationship between workmen and employers or between workmen and an association of registered trade unions would be exempt from tax. Next is income of provident fund, etc. according to section 1025, interest on securities held by a statutory provident fund and the capital gain arising from the sale of such securities, or the income received by the trustees on behalf of the recognized provident fund or an approved superannuation fund or an approved gratuity fund, or the income received by the board of trustees constituted under the Coal Mines Provident Fund Act 1948 and under the Employees Provident Fund Act 1952 on behalf of the deposit linked insurance fund shall be exempted according to section 1025. The next point is income of employees state insurance fund is exempted according to section 1025A. Then income of scheduled tribes, section 1026, the income of members of a scheduled tribe residing in any tribal area or in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura and Sikkim, or Ladakh region of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which accrues or arises to them from any source in the tribal area or states aforesaid, or by way of dividend or interest on securities, is fully exempted. Certain income of Sikkimis, section 1026 AAA. The following income of an individual being a Sikkimis as defined in the Act shall be exempt. Point 1. Income from any source in the state of Sikkim, or income by way of dividend or interest on securities. However, if a Sikkimis woman marries on or after 1st April 2008 with a non-Sikkimis, she will not be entitled for this exemption. The next point is any income of an agriculture produce marketing committee or board constituted under any law for the purpose of regulating the marketing of agricultural produce as per section 1026 AAB shall be exempted. Income of a body for promoting interest of scheduled castes or scheduled tribes as per section 1026B. The income of a corporation established by a central, state or provincial act or any other body, institution or association wholly financed by the government, which is formed for promoting the interest of the members of the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes or backward classes, is fully exempted. Section 1026BB. Any income of a corporation set up by the central government or any state government for promoting the interest of the members of a minority community shall be exempted. Minority communities are Muslims, Christians, Sikh, Buddhist and Parsis. The next is income of a corporation according to section 1026 BBB. Any income of a corporation established by a central, state or provincial act for the welfare and economic upliftment of ex-servicemen being the citizen of India shall be exempted. The next is income of a cooperative society formed for promoting the interest of scheduled caste or scheduled tribes according to section 1027. The income of a cooperative society formed for promoting the interests of scheduled castes or scheduled tribes is fully exempted. Then income of board, etc. Any income accruing or arising to the following shall be exempted as per section 1029A. The coffee board, the rubber board, the tea board, the tobacco board, the Marine Products Export Development Authority, the Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export, Development Authority, the Spices Board, the Coir Board. The next is subsidy from Tea Board as per section 1030. The case of an assessee who carries on the business of growing and manufacturing of tea in India. The amount of any subsidy received from or through the Tea Board for replantation or replacement of tea bushes or for rejuvenation or consolidation of areas used for cultivation of tea is exempt. Such exemption will be available only if the assessee furnishes to the assessing officer with his return for the relevant assessment year or within the extended time allowed by the assessing officer a certificate from Tea Board as to the amount of subsidy received by him during the previous year. The next is subsidy received by planters. According to section 1031, the amount of any subsidy received by an assessee engaged in the business of growing and manufacturing of rubber, coffee, cardamom, or other specified commodity in India from or through the rubber board, coffee board, spices board, or any board in respect of any other commodity under any scheme for replantation or replacement of rubber, coffee, cardamom, or other plants, or for rejuvenation or consolidation of areas used for cultivation of such commodities will be exempted. Next, exempted income is income of a minor child. According to section 1032, if the income of an individual includes the income of a minor child or minor children, such an individual shall be entitled to exemption of actual amount or rupees 1500 in respect of each minor child, whichever is less. Income from units of unit scheme 1964. Section 1033. Any income from transfer of a unit of the unit scheme 1964 of the unit trust of India, where the transfer takes place on or after 1st April 2002, the benefit of exemption is available to an investor and not to a person holding units as stock in trade of business. The next is income by way of dividend referred to in section 115O shall be exempt according to section 1034. However, dividend in aggregate in excess of rupees 10 lakh shall be chargeable to tax at the rate of 10% in the case of all assessees resident in India except a domestic company, section 115 BBDA. The next is any income arising to shareholder on account of buyback of shares by the domestic company shall be exempted according to section 1034A. The next is income from units as per section 1035. Income received in respect of units of a mutual fund specified under section 1023D or income received in respect of units from the administrator of the specified undertaking or income received in respect of units from the specified company. However, the income arising from transfer of aforesaid units shall not be exempted. Next is any income by way of distributed income received before 1st June 2016 from a securitization trust by an investor of the said trust shall be exempted according to section 1035A. Income from equity shares as per section 1036. Any income arising from the transfer of a long-term capital asset being an eligible equity shares in a company purchased after 28th February 2003 but before 1st March 2004 and held for a period of 12 months or more shall be exempted as per section 1036. Capital gain on transfer of agricultural land as per section 1037. Any capital gain arising on the transfer of agricultural land situated in an urban area shall be exempt subject to the following conditions. The agricultural land is owned by an individual or Hindu undivided family. The agricultural land was in the 2 years immediately preceding the date of transfer being used either by the Hindu undivided family or individual or his parent for agriculture purpose. The transfer of land is by way of compulsory acquisition under any law or a transfer, the consideration for which is determined by the central government or by the Reserve Bank of India. Such income has arisen from the compensation or consideration, including enhanced compensation or consideration for such a transfer received on or after 1st April 2004. The next point is tax incentive for development of capital of Andhra Pradesh as per section 1037A. An individual or Hindu undivided family is entitled to get this exemption who was the owner of the capital asset on 2nd June 2014. Condition for getting exemption under this case, the assessee transferred the capital asset under the Andhra Pradesh Capital City Land Pooling Scheme. The reconstituted plot or land received by the assessee in lieu of capital asset under the scheme is transferred within 2 years from the end of the financial year in which the possession of such plot or land was handed over to him. The capital gain shall be exempted. Capital asset include land or building or both, or the land pooling ownership certificate issued under the scheme to the assessee in respect of land or building or both. The next point is income from international sporting event. According to section 1039, any specified income arising from any international sporting event held in India shall be exempt if the following conditions are satisfied. Condition 1 is the sporting event is approved by the international body regulating the international sport relating to such event. More than 2 countries have participated in the sporting event. Then as per section 1039, income arising out of that shall be exempted. The next point is income of subsidiary company. Section 1040. Any income of any subsidiary company by way of grant or otherwise received from Indian holding company engaged in the business of generation, transmission or distribution of power shall be exempt if the receipt of such income is for settlement of dues in connection with reconstruction or revival of an existing business of power generation. The Indian company is formed before 30th November 2005 with majority equity participation by public sector companies and notified by the central government before 31st December 2005. The next point is specified income of a body of authority as per section 1042. Any specified income arising to a body or authority which has been established or constituted or appointed under a treaty or an agreement entered into by the central government with 2 or more countries or a convention signed by the central government is established or constituted or appointed not for the purpose of profit. is notified by the central government in the official gazette for the purpose of this clause. The next point is any amount received by an individual as a loan, either in lump sum or in installment in a transaction of reverse mortgage, shall be exempted as per section 1043. The next is income of new pension system trust. As per section 1044, any income received by any person for or on behalf of new pension system trust shall be exempted. The next is allowance or perquisite paid to the chairman or member of the Union Public Service Commission as per section 1045. Any allowance or perquisite paid to the chairman or a retired chairman or any other member or retired member of the Union Public Service Commission shall be exempted, provided it is so notified by the central government. The government has notified the following allowances and perquisites exempt under section 1045. And 1. In case of serving chairman and the members of the UPSC, the value of rent-free accommodation, the value of conveyance facility including transport allowances, the sumptuary allowances, the value of leave travel concession provided to a serving chairman or members of the Union Public Service Commission and the members of his family. And point B, in the case of retired chairman and retired members of the UPSC, a sum of maximum 14,000 per month for deferring the service of an orderly and for meeting expenses incurred towards secretarial assistant on contract basis. For the value of residential telephone free of cost and the number of free calls to the extent of 1,500 per month over and above the number of free calls per month allowed by the telephone authorities. The next is income of a body or authority or board or trust or commission as per section 1046. Specified income of the above mentioned person shall be exempt if it has been established or constituted by or under a central or state or provincial act constituted by the central government or state government with the object of regulating, administrating any activity for the benefit of the general public. It is not engaged in any commercial activity. It is notified by the central government for the purpose of this particular clause. And the next income which is exempted is income of infrastructure debt fund. Any income of infrastructure debt fund shall be exempted provided it is set up in accordance with the prescribed guidelines notified by the central government. And next is income received in India in Indian currency. Section 1048. Any income received in India in Indian currency by a foreign company on account of sale of crude oil or any other goods or rendering of service as may be notified by the central government to any person in India shall be exempt if the following conditions are satisfied. Receipt of such income in India by the foreign company in pursuant to an agreement or an arrangement entered into by the central government or approved by the central government. Having regard to the national interest, the agreement or arrangement is notified by the central government. The foreign company is not engaged in any activity other than the receipt of such income in India. The next point is income from storage and sale of crude oil. Section 1048A, any income of a foreign company on account of storage of crude oil in a facility in India and sale of crude oil therefrom to any person resident in India shall be exempt provided the storage and sale by the foreign company is pursuant to an agreement or an arrangement entered into by the central government or approved by the central government. The next point is income of a foreign company from sale of leftover stock of crude oil. According to section 1048B, income to a foreign company on account of sale of leftover stock of crude oil from the facility in India after expiry of the agreement under section 1048A, subject to such conditions as may be notified by the central government, shall be exempted. The next one is income of Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited as per section 1048C with effect from the assessment year 2021. This exemption shall be subject to the condition that the crude oil is replenished in the storage facility within 3 years from the end of the financial year in which the crude oil was removed from the storage facility for the first time. And finally, 100th income is income from newly established units in special economic zone. As per section 10AA, an undertaking being a unit which fulfills the following conditions are entitled for getting this exemption if it begins the manufacture or produce articles or things or provide any service or provide any service including computer software after 31st March 2005 but before 1st April 2020 in any special economic zone. It is not formed by splitting up or the reconstruction of a business already in existence. However, this condition will not apply in respect of any undertaking which is formed as a result of the re-establishment or reconstruction or revival by the assessee under the circumstances and within the period specified, that is 3 years under section 33B. And it is not formed by the transfer of new business of machinery or plant previously used for any purpose. These are the 100 important incomes which do not form part of total income while computing the taxable income. Along with that, two more points has to be discussed, that is section 86 and section 13A. As per section 86, share of profit received by a member of an association of person or body of individual which is computed as per section 67A shall not be liable to pay tax provided if the association of person or body of individual is taxed at the maximum marginal rate or any higher rate, the share of the member shall not be included in his total income at all. If tax has been paid by the association or body of individual at normal rate, income tax shall not be payable in respect of such share, although it shall form part of total income of the member. Where no income tax is chargeable on the total income of the association or body, the share of the member therein shall be chargeable to tax as part of his total income, and nothing contained in the section shall apply. Similarly, section 13A, that is the income of the political parties. Income of a political party which is chargeable under the head income from house property or a capital gain or income from other sources or any income by way of voluntary contributions received by a political party from any person shall not be included in the total income of the previous year of such a political party, provided that point A, such a political party keeps and maintains such books of account and other documents as would enable the assessing officer to properly deduce its income. Second, in respect of each such voluntary contribution other than contribution by way of electoral bond exceed rupees 20,000, such a political party keeps and maintains a record of such contributions and the name and addresses of the person who has made such contributions. Thirdly, the accounts of such political party are audited by the chartered accountant and no donation exceeding 2,000 is received by such political party otherwise than by an account payee check or an account payee bank draft or use of electronic clearing system through a bank account or through such other prescribed electronic modes or through an electoral bond. Further, the political party furnishes a return of income for the previous year as per the provisions of section 139 4B to claim exemption. If the treasurer of such a political party or authorized person fails to submit a report to the election commission for a financial year regarding donations received before the due date of furnishing the return of income under section 139, exemption shall not be available for such financial year. We have covered almost all the exempted income, and I hope that this video is going to be useful for you. If it is, please share it with your friends and other students. If you have any comments, please leave it in the comment box. If you have not subscribed my channel so far, please subscribe it and also please press the bell button. Thank you very much.